We ended up taking a fairly lengthy detour to mend the connection with my loving wife, but we are not going to be splitting up. I want to tell you my twisted love tale this time. My name is Bob Conley. I first saw Lisa Yoder at a coworker's wedding when I was 26 years old. Lisa, the bride's friend, was at the wedding. We were about the same age. To put it mildly, I was utterly enamored with her when I spotted her from the groomsmen's chairs, raising a glass on behalf of the bride's friends. Her chic updo and blue dress were too gorgeous to resist. It was love at first sight. I told my coworkers about it in the end, and I got to know Lisa because the newlyweds had introduced us. Then, when I was 26, Lisa and I tied the knot. Lisa was raised as a daughter of a father, but she had severed her relationship with her father. It turns out that my father-in-law enjoyed gambling and struggled to maintain a steady employment. Lisa lived with her father after losing her mother when she was young, but she appeared to have gone through a lot. Lisa's father had stopped visiting the family by the time she started high school, and she moved away as soon as she finished. She seems to have made it on her own ever since, taking part-time jobs. I wanted to marry this powerful woman and make her happy, even if I knew her past. Thus, Lisa and I tied the knot when I was 26 years old. However, life was not all happiness after that. Lisa became pregnant not long after we were married. We were ecstatic because we both desired children. However, she lost her pregnancy before she could reach the stable phase. After one loss, we may have moved on, but Lisa was truly worn down by 2 in a row. Lisa was diagnosed with infertility after we underwent some tests at the advice of our physician. While she was able to conceive, she would frequently miscarry or give birth to stillborn children. It was unclear what caused it. Lisa said, "I'm sorry, the baby keeps coming to us, but I can't seem to nurture it," as she began to feel increasingly downcast. "Lisa, it's not your fault. You're constantly giving it your all," I told her again. After receiving an infertility diagnosis, I extended an invitation to Lisa for a trip to Arizona. Lisa's mother passed away in Arizona, where she was born. Her loving mother grew raised in Arizona, so even though it's not actually her hometown. Her maternal grandparents have also passed away. Lisa had always wanted to travel. I believe that traveling to Arizona was the perfect choice. Arizona's scenery, climate, and delectable cuisine restored Lisa's physical and emotional well-being. On this vacation, she smiled sincere for the first time since her miscarriages. We were fortunate to glimpse a massive rainbow in the sky on the final day of the trip. It's stunning. I wonder if my mom and the babies can see it, Lisa sobbed. I sobbed too as I held Lisa's shoulder. Lisa, they're observing. Your mom is undoubtedly keeping an eye on our kids from above. This was more than just consoling her. I really did think so. We had a conversation while observing the rainbow and came to the conclusion that it's acceptable if we are childless. As a couple, we would encourage one another. Do you think that's okay, Bob? You might be able to conceive without any issues if you were with someone else. I fixed my gaze on Lisa's eyes. I wanted to make sure she understood. I didn't get married to you so that I could have kids with you. I wanted to remain with you forever, which is why I married you. Whether or not we have children, the most important thing to me is that you are at my side. Lisa had her hands over her face as she sobbed. I'm grateful. Bob, thank you. She must have considered getting a divorce when she was dealing with the news that she was infertile. I sincerely appreciate that we took this trip before things got out of hand because it allowed us to talk about how we felt. I was sincere in my feelings. Even if it was just temporary, our lives together as a married couple was calm and content after that. Lisa unexpectedly announced she wanted a divorce when we were 29 years old. Please, let's get a divorce. Lisa wasn't in tears. Her gaze was already fixed, not with reluctance, but with resolve. Can't we talk it out anymore? My voice was trembling pitifully, I believe. It isn't a suggestion. That's a choice that I made. If it sounds self-serving, I apologize. I believe that was the first time I had ever heard Lisa's voice so icy. Why? Could you explain the reason for me? Lisa said without hesitation, "There's someone else I love," in response to my question. "I can't stay with you any longer for his sake." That was the first time she had called me you. Her statements were so full of determination that I knew right away that nothing I said would persuade her to change her mind. Perhaps I simply wasn't good enough to satisfy Lisa. Or maybe she was reminded of our miscarriages by my presence. Or perhaps I had a lot of excuses in mind, but they were all just excuses for me to avoid facing reality. That's all there is to it. Lisa loves someone else now, and I had to come to terms with that. I understand. Lisa inclined her head when I stated it. She apologized while lowering her head for a considerable amount of time. "I'd appreciate everything that you have done. Sincerely, I'm grateful." I didn't answer her. I didn't want to hear thank you in the event that she left for another man or that we were divorcing. I couldn't stand to be angry if that was what she said in the end. Despite everything, I was unable to consider Lisa to be a bad lady. In my heart, Lisa has always been my loving, devoted, and lovely wife. The following day, Lisa signed the divorce papers and departed from the residence. I wanted to know whether she truly went to that man and if she could move on so fast, but there was no way of knowing. I inquired about any updates from Lisa with the bride and groom of the wedding that preceded our meeting, but they provided no information. Nobody was aware of Lisa's whereabouts. Lisa didn't pick up her phone and had quit her part-time work. I had no idea where Lisa had disappeared to the day after the divorce. Though I forced myself to think that Lisa is most likely content with the man she loves, I couldn't help but feel depressed. I therefore lost myself in my task. My colleagues were concerned that I was working too much, but I could only forget about Lisa when I was at work. My supervisor even asked me to go on a blind date. "Since the divorce, you haven't been the same person, have you? You never know. You might feel better if you meet someone new." The blind date was not a success. The woman expressed her want to reconnect, but I was unable to envision a future together. Lisa was the lady I wanted at my side. That's all I could think of. I knew it was pitiful, but I felt powerless over these emotions. I visited Lisa's mother's hometown of Arizona on business approximately 5 years after the divorce. After our miscarriage, Lisa and I made our first trip there. After the work trip, I made the decision to take some time off and approach it as a journey through sadness. I had made the decision to take a final trip down memory lane and move on from Lisa since 5 years had already passed. After completing my employment in Arizona, I departed and went on vacation. I wandered aimlessly around the sites Lisa and I had gone. When we went as a pair, I thought we had a terrific time, but when I was by myself, everything seemed cheesy and uninteresting. I therefore found myself pondering what we had eaten at the little neighborhood diner that we had gone to. As I walked into the diner, I heard a cheery welcome. I was staring at the waitress as I recognized the voice all too well. Lisa. Yes, Lisa was the waitress. She had shed a few pounds and her hair had grown out, but she was still clearly Lisa. Lisa appeared to recognize me as well, showing shock and disbelief. The proprietor of the restaurant questioned if we knew each other after observing our emotions. Upon disclosing my status as Lisa's ex-husband, the proprietor kindly allowed Lisa to take a break. I warily stared at Lisa since I was concerned that she could find it bothersome, as it was a true coincidence to see her. Lisa appeared perplexed as well, but I believed that this chance meeting could be destiny. I said to her, "Do you want to talk outside for a bit?" As a result, I was ready to be rejected, but Lisa accepted to come along. After a time of silent strolling, it began to rain, so we hurried inside a park pavilion. I saw it at that point. I saw our wedding ring hanging from Lisa's necklace as she dabbed at her rain-soaked neck with a handkerchief. That? Huh. Pointing to Lisa's necklace, I said. That is our wedding ring, that is. The option that we jointly selected. Why are you wearing it as a necklace when you claim to have met someone else? Lisa covered her jewelry with her palm, caught off surprise, but it was too late. Lisa's left hand was free of any rings. Why was she still in Arizona if she hadn't remarried? Perhaps there was a reason for our split that I was unaware of. That was my thought process. Ultimately, if she was content with someone else, would she have shed so much weight? Despite my desire for Lisa to be happy, I accepted the divorce, but Lisa didn't appear happy at all after leaving me. Is there something, Lisa, that you haven't told me? For the previous 5 years, I wanted to forget about you, but I couldn't. I'm revisiting Arizona for that reason. But this isn't how I can return to New York. Why do you still treasure the ring so much? Was finding someone else the true cause of our divorce? Kindly let me know. I ask you to please. Lisa remained silent for a time after I bowed my head. But at last, she started talking, maybe realizing that I wasn't going to back down. The truth is, I got a call from my father. After our marriage, Lisa hadn't disclosed her residence to her divorced father. But my father-in-law was able to locate her and had reportedly given her a call. He begged Lisa for a loan because he had accumulated debt and lost a lot of money gambling. Naturally, Lisa declined him, but over time, their communication grew more frequent, and it appeared that calls were beginning to arrive at her office. Not only was her father making these calls, but unidentified persons also claimed to have given him money. It seems that Lisa's father even made threats. He threatened to bring it up with her spouse if she didn't stop denying. I was not aware of this. Why did you not approach me? Nothing took place. You had to have been afraid. Bob, I think I've already given you enough grief about not being able to have children. In addition, I didn't want the debt to be a source of financial anxiety for you. My dad asked for a loan, and I wasn't sure if that would be it or not. I felt it would be wiser to cut ties with you if there's a potential this could carry on forever. Bob, I felt completely powerless when I discovered Lisa's feelings 5 years later. Lisa must have been devastated by her father's constant communication. I wasn't even aware that I was living day to day at the time. Lisa decided to get a divorce, keeping me in mind. It makes me loathe myself to feel like I've just ever terrified and worried you, Lisa. Do things remain the same as they were? Did your father still give you calls? In response, Lisa shook her head slyly. It appears that a year after our divorce, her father passed away. He had always been an excessive drinker, and the reason he died was that he had fallen down a bar steps when intoxicated. Simultaneously, his bills vanished and the phone calls requesting payment ceased. Even though I was somewhat glad that the loan was paid off, I was nevertheless saddened by the loss of such a horrible dad. The connections of blood are weird, Lisa remarked quietly. However, I'd assumed that was just Lisa being nice. Generally speaking, individuals wouldn't be upset to see their abusive, uncaring parents die. I found Lisa was still as sweet as ever, even after our divorce. But all of our issues ought to have vanished if her father had died. I wish she had gotten in touch with me then. Lisa said, "Actually, Bob, I asked a friend to check on you," as if she could read my mind. I felt I should stop interfering and stopped contacting you when she told me you were meeting with the daughter of your employer for a matchmaking session. I didn't tell that buddy where I was staying, and I requested her to keep my predicament private. No, you're not correct. That was merely my boss's favor. I went just out of need. Naturally, I declined it. I had a matching meeting during the period we were divorcing, so I didn't need to worry. But I hurried to offer explanations. I didn't want the person I met to think I was in a successful relationship. My feelings for Lisa didn't seem to have changed, and when I learned that Lisa hadn't divorced me because she despised me, I had an emotion that was difficult to put into words. I still adore you, Lisa. I will always do. I want you back in my life. Lisa shuddered and shook her head. My infertility hasn't improved, but the debt issue has been fixed. I had no intention of putting you in debt. Above everything, though, I just wanted you to be a father. You're friendly and terrific with children, but it can't happen with me at your side if you're going to be a father." Lisa was crying when I softly placed my hand on her shaking shoulder. "You know, I would have preferred to be our child's father if I could. However, that was merely an idle thought. Wouldn't it be nice if I could? Did I not inform you earlier? The most essential thing is that I want you by my side always and right now. What really important is that we are a couple with you." At that moment, a massive rainbow emerged in the sky and the rain ceased. It resembled the rainbow we witnessed as a group when we traveled to Arizona following Lisa's miscarriage. Lisa also appeared to recall that. I responded, keeping my eyes fixed on the rainbow. "That time, too, when you took me on a trip, we saw a rainbow just like this one." "Yes, it is correct. As we watched that rainbow, we made the decision to stand with one another right then and there. Maybe this is just a coincidence." "What? What are you trying to say?" Lisa seemed perplexed at my statements as she wiped away her tears. I looked Lisa in the eye and expressed my ideas. "Don't you think that this rainbow is encouraging us? Like it's from our deceased children and Lisa's mother. We've never been alone, I believe. I think our kids and Lisa's mother have been keeping an eye on us the entire time. Together, let's remain. Because they are all with us, I'm sure everything will work out." Lisa gave me a big smile and a firm handshake when I said this. I can't lie about how I feel when I think about my mom and our kids watching over us. I have the same emotions. Bob, I've been considering you all this time. I gave Lisa a firm hug at that very time. For the past 5 years, I've longed to do this with her. She had lost weight, so when I hugged her again after all this time, I was a little nervous. I've been waiting 5 years for this. I hugged Lisa close, just the way she wanted. After some time, Lisa moved back in with me, and we were married again. Lisa first raised her voice when we went to formally greet my parents after we were remarried. "I'll make sure he never experiences sadness again. I'll bring him joy," she proclaimed. Reflecting over the last 5 years brought me to tears. Lisa took a cloth and carefully wiped away my tears. "I apologize for all of the tears. It's all right. I'll be by your side to remove them going forward." Even though I'm a man, her remarks made me cry a lot. We were fortunate to have a child 2 years after our second marriage. As a couple, we agreed to try the infertility therapy even though we had no idea if it would be successful. Lisa, who was holding our newborn, said to me, "I appreciate you discovering me once more. I got to meet this child because to you. It was my intention to express gratitude. I'll look out for Lisa and our little one. I'm resolved to treasure this joy so that our family